provide safe and reliable power throughout our great state.
Good.
The knowledge and experience Zeeles has obtained working in this industry over the last 30 years.
Hello and welcome to the 61st Annual Lumberjack World Championship in historic Lumberjack Bowl on the beautiful shores of Lake Hayward, located in northwestern Wisconsin. The first Lumberjack World Championship was held right here in Hayward, Wisconsin in 1960, and it has been held in the Lumberjack Bowl every year since. The Lumberjack Bowl was once used as a giant holding pond for Northern Wisconsin lumber companies, and today it still showcases over 120 competitors each year at the World Championships, ranging in events from sawing and chopping to speed climbing, log rolling, boom running, and even axe throwing. So let's get ready for 3 days of fierce competition as timber sports athletes from all across the United States of America compete in 24 events for cash purse prizes approaching $70,000, along with the title of being world champions. My name is Adrian Flicht, and I'm joined here this evening with 7-time world champion Meredith Ingebretson. Meredith, what does it mean to be in Hayward this last weekend of July?
This is a big weekend for all of these athletes. There's a lot of newcomers this year, and I think for them, the pressure's really on to put forward a good show, and then all of these returning athletes, it's a big deal.
As a native of Hayward, you grew up log rolling in this bowl and made the transition to a professional competitor. What has that been like for you?
Growing up here and having that experience is something that you can't really explain, but I'm just glad that I was able to grow up in such a historic place like Hayward.
Yes. Beautiful location here with a historic past and a bunch of sports that are rooted in the woods that work was done. Your area of expertise and specialty and world championship awards is what?
So I log roll and boom run. I have 5 boom world titles and 2 log rolling world titles, and those were when the loggers had the logs in the pond and they were stuck and they had to get out to them and keep the logs floating downriver.
So if you're looking down here into the Lumberjack Bowl, the booms are currently configured across the bowl, and those would be used as a bound for a load of timber packed up here in the bowl. They'd have a big dam as they work through harvest season, and you run across it for fun, but in the working days, people had to keep the logs together. Didn't want to lose any logs. After they ran around the boom, what happened if one of those logs broke free?
When one of those broke free, the whole slew of logs kind of leaked out into the lake or river, and that's what those river piggers and those boom runners were for, to keep all the wood in one area so that the mills didn't lose any profit on that.
Yeah, it was dollars and cents. Came down to dollars and cents. So if one or two break free, you notice on the far side next to the paddle boat there are single logs, and that's the log rolling portion of this.
Correct.
2 athletes are going to do what?
They are going to compete on that. They're going to battle head to head, trying to knock each other off of those logs over there.
And their goal is making the other person go for a swim.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be the best 3 out of 5 falls, and so the competitor who can stay on the longest will receive that fall, and they'll reset, pull back out, and start the match again until somebody has 3 W's.
Takes 3 falls and finds their competitor usually soaking wet. As you work a little farther around the bowl, it's the thing that I'm kind of most shocked by. We've got 60 and 90-foot speed climbing poles. What's going to happen on those poles?
So those competitors, we see that the pads on the 90-foot poles, those are going to be the 2 poles that these competitors are going to be using this weekend. And there's a red line to show the 60-foot mark and a black line all the way at the top for 90. Those competitors are going to start on go, climb all the way to the top, and free fall as fast as they can.
And their time is not just up, their time is up and then back
down. Up and back down. Once they hit the pad, then their time stops.
And it's absolutely crazy to watch, and this happens in a matter of seconds. The bailout at the top, just hold your breath for that. On the near side, we're going to have some chopping and sawing disciplines, a mixture of manual and power saw, starting off with the biggest power saw event. Give me 3 names that you're watching this weekend, because we've had some juggernauts in this event and juggernauts in the history of this, the Lumberjack World Championships.
You know, with Jason Lynch just setting a new world record in the U.S. Steel Series, he's an athlete to watch. I know Adam Lethko can run a hot saw pretty well. along with Mike Slingerland.
Champions and all of our wonderful
Guys who should be making a good run.
Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, Martha King is also.
We're going to be moving back and forth. It is going to be a steady stream of action. The first half is going to be a mixed bag here of chopping, sawing, the rolling, the climbing disciplines. We're going to get it kicked off with a hot saw. But the biggest change this year, because of the border being shut and our other constraints of travel, this is the first time that I've been coming here that we have a U.S. only field. So we are going to direct our attention down to the chopping and sawing dock with our MC John Hughes for the performance of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red bells bursting in air gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, the
Great welcome for the
Boys.
Finery Boys. Those guys have a long history here, singing together, making music, and welcome us. Meredith, normally you'd be out on the deck. We'd be out on the deck for 5 anthems. We usually have competitors from New Zealand, Australia, Czech Republic, Canada, and the United States. So, Cousin Larry, if you're out there watching, Bobby Dowling, Gerald, the Beams, Dale and Amanda, our friends who, family, I would say is a word I don't use lightly in this case. Our family who's not here, we miss you, we love you, and we'll see you on the next one. But we still have got about 2 hours of rapid action about to unfold.
Yes, a lot of exciting competition to come up.
This is the 61st annual. It is a 3-day contest, and so what you didn't get to see in the stream today was some qualifying rounds. Contestants have applied to be here. They have been seeded into their heats, and the qualifying that happens today determines going tomorrow.
Correct. So there's 24 athletes in each event right now. In the men's field, at least, the women have 14 overall, but these men, the 24 men, will get cut down to 12 after today, and then those 12 will compete on Friday, and from Friday, 6 on Saturday.
Which is a lot of log chopping. We have just over 100 people in the field. We have 17 people who were not here in 19. We have about 80% returning in our familiar faces. Number of guys have been coming here since they were children with their parents, now here as competitors professionally, bringing their own children. How many years have you been coming here, Meredith?
I've been log rolling since I was 3, grew up here in Hayward, and so I would say 23 years.
Yeah, which is a long time. It's been just over 10 years myself, and so thankful to be back. Beautiful day, great weather, and we're going to get things kicked off with a hot saw. Meredith, these don't look like hot saws I see at the hardware store.
No, most of these hot saws are either snowmobile engines or 2-stroke dirt bike engines. How much does something like this cost?
You never talk to your wife or girlfriend about that, Meredith. That's a trick question. I will not take the bait here. These motors you do not buy complete. You got to go to one of the manufacturers. And rumor has it they kind of start in the $5,000 or $6,000 range and go up from there. Normal work saw might be 50, 60, 70 cc's on the shelf. These are 330, 340, and rumor has it there are several north of 400 on site. When they work, this should run off in about 6 seconds. Record is just under 6. Good race today should be in the neighborhood of 7. Everybody's going to run the hot saw today and tomorrow. Top 6 go to the show that you will see on Saturday, at the end on Saturday.
Correct.
We got a good field of operators. You mentioned the record that was set. We've got Mike Sullivan on stand 1 coming to us from the East Coast. We got Nate Hodges.
Mike is the defending champion, previous record holder in this event. Nate Hodge is a guy who has come on like wildfire in timber sports, one of the hardest working. The guy is like a tornado everywhere he goes in his chopping and his sawing and his work. Dave Jewett, long-standing competitor known for his hand sawing and his hot sawing. We got Dave Ingasser coming to us from New York, an operator who sneaks around with a hot saw. And you often, when you're racing Dave, I don't want to say forget, but all of a sudden Nate will put down a ripper, Dave will put down a ripper cut, and you go, oh yeah, Dave's an assassin. He's kind of stealth about that. We got Mike Papa Sling on stand 5, a guy who has been grooving into the sport and has brought the next generation in the form of his son Matthew. And we have unofficial world record holder Jason Lentz on the far stand. Lentz, another family affair. His father Melvin will be competing in several of the other disciplines later. The athletes do have 60 seconds to warm up their saws, and you'll see everybody gets or hopes to get one hit on the motor, make sure it's happy and warm, and then they're going to start and re-wrap because these do not have the retractable start cord. Those are tethered to the deck. Little bit of static on the first stand. Mike Sullivan taking a second. Safety paramount in this event. We've got the ballistic shields up. Everybody's got eyes and ears protected. They've got chaps on to protect their legs and feet. We got some plywood on the deck to make sure it doesn't get too slippery, because those chains are going like 200 miles an hour.
That's it?
Yeah. And exactly. And they run a bigger chain, but it's kind of magic, because in 5 or 6 seconds it's going to be over, and there's going to be a stage full of sawdust and wood chips. We're getting the starting cadence. This should be over quick.
Judges and timers ready. Contestants ready. 3, 2, 1, go.
Jason Lentz appears to be off first on stand 6. Based on our seeds going in, Jason was coming in as the 6th seed. Nate Hodges threw a chain on this side, and it looks like this is where either you say a prayer or you start cursing your motor. Before the race, the heavy line was drawn, giving contestants a 6-inch width of area on this 20-inch log to make their cuts. Waiting for the head judge to go through, and we're going to take the action back across the bowl to the 60-foot speed climb.
Eric, we are over here in the loony bin for our first round of speed climbing tonight.
So they are going to be on the 90-foot poles, but, Meredith,
they're only going to that first red line. So on the pole, you'll be able to see there's 3 black lines and then a red line. That's where they're going for this heat.
Yep, so Cassidy Shearer is going to be making this run solo. The reason he's not running with...
These lumberjacks have to touch at least once.
Yep, Caleb Graves is out there too. We got 2 competitors on each pole tonight.
Oh, we do have... He was blending in with the blue mat, Meredith. Yep. This is why we got to keep an eye. So we have Caleb Graves and...
Andrew Jensen tonight.
And Andrew Jensen.
Yep, we got Andrew Jensen on the right, and we got Caleb Graves on the left. We can also go by... Green pad is Caleb Graves, and the blue pad is Andrew Jensen.
Blue pad, Andrew Jensen. So these guys are using spikes that look like the spikes that somebody's coming to work on your telephone might work with, but they've been modified to make it easier for them to run up the pole, and they got a rope on the top. And those are their 4 points of contact, or 3 points of contact.
Yep, and I think for the 60-foot, we do traditional gaps only. On the 90-foot, they'll have those toe gaps, but for these ones, they'll have the gaps in the middle of the foot, and that's how they're getting their power. You can kind of see it on the video here.
Yeah, perfect. They got the spike on the instep. Caleb, good run. Caleb, the defending champ on the 60.
Both 60 and 90.
And the 90, wow.
Yep.
It's a special kind of crazy to make multiple trips up those things on one
Ladies and
weekend.
gentlemen, that was
Absolutely.
the
These guys are
60-foot
probably going to do it
speed
a few
climb.
times in this show alone tonight.
Right, and that's the catch, is it's not one and done. It's the qualifying rounds today and tomorrow, and then the fastest times get the chance to go head-to-head for everything to rock and roll on Saturday.
Yes, absolutely.
We've got some log rolling matches going out there. I get distracted with the boats.
Yep, we're on the blue dock. We have the women, Livy Papadopoulos, the reigning 18 and 19 women's log rolling world champion, against Lizzie Horvitz, the 2014, and I think she won in 2011 as well. They are both great rollers. So this is a great match to watch. Livy hasn't lost a match
In like 20 years.
in the last, yeah, pretty much the last 20 years. She's such a strong competitor at 19, and you can just see it watching these two roll.
And so, Meredith, you're not exaggerating that she did not lose, and it was not a fall or not a match?
In 2018, I think there were 2 falls against her. 2 falls is something one athlete could only hope to achieve. That means that she was only put in the water by her opponent twice in a whole entire season.
In a whole season. And am I thinking right that you gave her one of those?
I did not.
Okay.
But
Misrecollection.
I hope to one day.
Someday. What makes her? Because I look like a black bear. I don't roll on logs. I don't roll on anything. What makes her a fierce competitor there? That's able to win this much, stack wins in a tight field.
I think the way she positions her body and her feet, a lot of these athletes, we use the middle or tops of our toes, tips of our feet, and if you watch Livy's feet and you zoom in, you can see her use her entire heel to toe, and that is something that you have to absolutely train very hard. I mean,
the whole length of the foot,
the entire shoe, and so a lot of these athletes only use the ball of their feet, and they don't have as much power, and so that's where you see some of these matches with not a lot of action. But when you watch Livy, she takes control of that log and really makes her opponent work for it.
And everybody's got special shoes on down there.
Yep. So all the shoes that these athletes are wearing are homemade. They take soccer cleats and they shave the bottoms right off, and then they pop in anywhere from 18 to 30 logging spikes.
And those little spikes, not like golf spike shoes, but like the spikes that you put on a cork boot working in the woods.
Yep.
And have a bunch of them so that you get grip on the log. And it's kind of apparent on that log, you can see there's been some wear into that cedar log from the shoes.
Yes, yep, absolutely. Yep.
On the red dock, we've got another match going, but this is Cassidy and Anthony Polentini.
Yep, Anthony Polentini is the reigning world champion from 2019 in the log roll.
And he's got the white headband.
Correct, he's got the headband on. He did just get that fall. I'm not sure what the count is on that one.
I believe it's 1-0 and 1-0.
Perfect. So you can see on the women's match, this is a bucking match. This is where the competitors look over the same shoulder. They're both looking over their left. And then on the men's match, when they go back out, you can see that Anthony rolls over his right shoulder and Cassidy rolls over his left. So there's a little bit of different strategy that goes into these matches. In a bucking match, it's a lot more aggressive. You're putting the weight on that log, and in a running match, you can't do that because there's no counterbalance on that. Nobody's digging in. We're both going the same way, and so.
And if both contestants are running both the same way, you're fast as they're fast, and that can go fast, but there's no reverse.
Correct. And log rolling is a game of transitions. It's how fast can we go 1-2 and back the other way.
So right now, Livy is 2 falls.
2 falls to 0 over Lizzie Horvitz.
Am I thinking right in terms of background and preparation? Obviously, you spend a lot of time on the logs, but Livy is a I'm thinking, if I'm thinking right, Olympic lifter.
Yep, she does Olympic weightlifting, so deadlift, squat, bench.
Okay.
So she's a phenomenal athlete in all aspects that she competes in. I've never rolled anyone as strong as her.
Yeah, very, very powerful. The whole foot on the log and then taking control in those bucking matches back and forth. And you also notice that the logs are not color-coded for the dock. They're color-coded based on
different sizes. So these men are rolling on a 15-inch #1 log that's painted red. Gives them a little more buoyancy. These women start on a #2 log, which has white ends.
Okay.
The women are on the 3 log right now with the blue ends. There's a 3-minute time limit on this.
Okay.
This gives them a little bit of time to get comfortable, and after that 3-minute time limit, they'll progress to a gold log.
And each one of those logs, smaller diameter, less buoyancy.
Correct. Much faster each time you go down in a size. So, yep, you can see Livy's back foot, her inside left foot is just digging in, and you can see her kick it every now and then.
It just feels weird to me, Meredith, to talk about being in control of a spinning log, but watching the back foot grab and then quickly shuffle it or fire it. And then we did have another fall, and we've got 2 new contestants on the men's dock.
Yep, you got Connor Birdsong on the left, number 44, against Sam Polentini, number 65.
Sam Polentini, Anthony Polentini's brother, which means we cycled through, because these are, the contestants were seated going in, but this is ultimately, it's kind of like March Madness. Yeah, explain how that works.
So, yep, all of the log rolling matches are in a bracket format. So, top 8 seeded competitors get placed in those 8 spots, and then everybody else is a random draw into it. And there's Livy with her 3rd and straight fall in that first women's match of the night.
Pitch in the shutout there.
Yep.
So then we got.
All right, that was match on the blue dock.
Got the 3. Getting the replay on Livy.
You can see Lizzie's in control, and Livy gives that little pull with her inside foot. Puts Lizzie down.
And what makes Lizzie lose control there? She wasn't expecting it, or explain that to me.
It's something. Sometimes you expect people to do certain things, and people have different techniques and where they roll their foot, but Livy is taking advantage of all these different quirks that athletes have and taking advantage of it.
Yeah, and well-timed and a little bit of strategery, a little bit of strength, and then whammo, your buddy's going swimming.
Yes.
In terms of what's legal on the log, anything but touching across the line to your opponent?
Right, you see that white line out there, 6 inches, and you cannot step on that line. Your arms can wave over it, but you cannot purposely hit your opponent. If you hit hands, that's okay, but you cannot reach over, grab, pull, kick, spit, or anything like that.
Any shenanigans?
No shenanigans.
We're going to go back to the 60-foot climb, the traditional climb. We've got Darby Hand, fresh off a win in the Rookie National Championship, coming to us from Tennessee, and Turbo Tom Lancaster. Turbo is 82. He is on the left of your screen.
Yep.
And 28 is
Darby Hand on the blue pole.
And I believe that's a palindrome, and that's a little bit tricky. 2882
Yep.
race car. Same deal. It's time all the way up and down. You see there's a bunch of their associates cheering for and helping them out.
Yep.
Getting that plate off the pad because their spikes will dig in. Tom making the throw, tapping in. Couple.
Yep.
And then he's back.
So, and then with those black lines on the way down, they have to touch in between each of those lines at least once. So it can't be a complete free fall.
Can't be utterly free fall. It's a good replay here of Turbo Tom. He's choking that rope up as he climbs, getting tighter and tighter because there is some taper in the pole. He gets close to that and just has to hit that line.
Yep.
Getting one spike in every black section.
Yep. A lot of these guys take a couple more because it's a long weekend, but on Saturday you definitely see these guys just lay it out there.
One of my favorite things is exactly that. 90-foot climb, last throw, traditional gaffs. Those guys bail. World championship on the line, cash prizes, and the esteem of your associates, because I got to tell you, if you can get up to the 90-foot pole the top faster than anybody else and back down, everybody's jealous of you and is giving you high fives.
That is a lot of work. I have tried to climb, and I thought I was strong, but there is nothing compared to going straight up 90 feet.
So we are going to come back to the chopping. Oh, excuse me, we have one more fall in the men's match.
Yep. I think that was match with Sam Polentini taking that match.
Polentini, Sam
Polentini over Connor Birdsong. Yep.
So we are going to be coming back to the chopping and sawing discipline for our chopping and sawing deck for our first chopping discipline, the underhand chop, mimicking what you do in the woods. If you needed a buck a log to length. Martha King on stand 1, defending champion, fresh off a national championship win last weekend. We got Lindsey Dawn on the 2nd, a longtime competitor here, first world champion at 16, first-time world champion. Laura Helmick, Brenda Boyko, originally from this area, coming from the northern side of the Midwest, coming back to us, and Tracy Henning coming to us from the greater New York area. Ladies are going to put a series of drives and chips into the front of this block. It's an 11-inch piece of lathe-turned aspen. Those axes are not what you can buy at the hardware store. They are not going to come over and split your firewood because those are made for clean, fresh, wet wood.
Adrian.
All you do is cut racing logs with it.
Yep. And I see these girls cutting in a pattern. Is that typically how they cut? Or
Exactly.
Is there...
If you've ever split wood at your wood pile, you're severing fibers. Your maul goes in parallel with the wood fibers. Excuse me. Here you are severing wood fibers. In the splitting maul, you're looking to split or drive a wedge in. And so you need to repeat this pattern of what people call drives and chips so that you'll make the big wood chips on the stage, give your axe a little bit more room to get in. And you got to go halfway through on the first side, halfway through on the back side, and you'll be off. The safety aspect of this discipline, not as obvious. Each one of the contestants has chainmail like a knight, but they're in their shoes because it's not a time for work boots and burliness. It's a time for flexibility and being able to move predictably on that log, not being locked in like you're climbing with the pole.
Yep.
Let's keep it going for Tracy.
Tracy Henning working hard on the last stage. No doubt that the Sam Squatch and the little ones in the Henning family are watching on the stream. We miss you guys. She's got a little bit of a tough piece of wood there, drawing it a little tight, and you can see some sort of color change there. And she is off in the underhand. Record there set in 17, just over 26 seconds by Amanda Beams. Martha put down a good cut there. I don't think it leaned on 26, but it was plenty fast.
Yes.
Now back over to Sam Fenton for more log rolling, and coming up soon,
We are going to be doing a little bit more log rolling. We've got 2 new contestants. We
have Tanner Hallett against Cameron Pilgreen. So
Tanner Hallett is 57, the tall, light-haired young man, and then in the American flag shorts
is Cameron Pilgreen. So on these men's number 1 log, there's a 1 time limit, and now they are moving to the 2 log, and for the men, that is a 3-minute time limit on there. So all the rules from the women's side in terms of competition are the same. The men and women just have different size logs that they typically compete on. Men are a little bit taller, a little bit heavier, move that log a little bit faster, so makes it a little bit more exciting for all of us to watch.
Yeah, when the ladies get to the smaller logs and the guys get on the smaller logs, you often can barely see the log out of the water.
Yep.
Two athletes, and it is just white water, and it looks almost biblical because they're walking on water, spinning and powering each other into the drink.
Yes, absolutely, and we'll probably see it here in just a little bit.
I'm Cameron Pilgreen.
Cameron Pilgreen coming to us from Watertown, Wisconsin, and Tanner Hallett from Oconomowoc. His dad, a coach who's very active in the sport and has been for
many years. Him and his brother Rich grew up in the sport, and now Rich is part of the Steel Timber Sports Series as their head judge, and now his brother John, who makes all of the awards here.
Makes the trophies.
Yes.
A vet by training who's casting the trophies, which will be awarded on Saturday.
Yep. And so he's got 2 sons out here rolling tonight, and they're both going to be in the boom run later on in the show.
Dang, which is crazy. To me, it's a great visual as you look across to the rolling dock. The first step onto the boom is a doozy, and those logs are all going to spin and bounce and buck and jive.
So
feet are only inches out of this
what
water
happens
during this running
between
match.
falls here, Meredith? Take me through the mindset of you know you're not going to change who you're going against. You're not going to change the
All right,
log
cue
unless
them
the
on
time has
camera,
expired.
Bill Green
What do you do when
versus
you go
Tanner
back to the dock?
Tanner currently 2 falls
Right,
up
we
on
get
camera.
you get about 30 seconds once both rollers return back to the dock. You can see these arms are flying right now. You can tell they're off balance.
Tanner
Got him.
winning the match.
Once those arms kind of go up, you can tell they're out of control. Their body isn't centered over their core, and that's when you see that white water and those arms start to go.
Yeah, that was a deluge. Like it looked like the rapids right there on the log. Pilgrim going for a swim. Tanner will advance to the
Yep.
next round.
Absolutely.
Women's boom run, sponsored by.
We've got ladies boom.
Yep, this is one of my favorite events of the night.
5 times you've been crowned the world champion on the ladies boom. How do you prepare to do this? Because each one of these is different.
A little bit, yeah. So the booms are identical, as identical as possible, but each one has its own little quirks. And so tonight these ladies will run on the booms that they're lined up at, and tomorrow night they will flip sides. So on the left side we have the blue boom, and on the right side we have the red boom.
And so these logs have been configured in a random order and then randomly assigned. So we have got Madeline Lyons, who's going to be on screen right with the black shoes and the black shorts. And then who do we have on the second boom?
And Kestra Peterson is a returning athlete. She rolled when she was younger, took a break from the sport, and now she's come back to compete. So it's pretty cool to see. This is Maddie's first year as a professional. Last year she rolled semi-pro. So first time in the show for these ladies, and Maddie first time, and Kestra in a while.
Maddie's around the barrel. She's coming.
Maddie's making the turn. There is a dock that doesn't float or bob or jump.
Correct.
Barrel, you got to make the turn, and then time stops when the athlete is back and
Across the line.
the laser.
The laser
There are
beam.
sharks with lasers.
Yes.
Love it.
So now she can wait until those logs are steady. She gets to fall in 2 times, and after her third fall, she has no more chances.
Meredith, I'm not going to lie to you. If I would have fallen, I would have gotten to the other log, and I would have waited until my mom picked me up. I got the permission slip signed, but that is tough sledding.
Yep.
Big round of applause. Big round
Sometimes
of
that's
applause
what
for
it
her.
is.
We got the replay of the big splash. Lions making the turn.
Yep, getting around that barrel, getting squared up to where you're going to go is really important. If you come off that barrel crooked and your hips aren't square to that boom, you're in.
And it's hips over your feet close to the center of the log as possible. Ish.
If those logs are spinning and you land on the middle, you got to counterbalance all the logs spinning which way they're going.
And
So there's a lot going on more than just straight running.
So we've got
the Salmonator, LaSalle.
Sammy LaSalle. It was my pleasure to be one of the groomsmen in Sam and Adam's wedding. On the other boom, on the right-hand boom,
We have a Hayward native and longtime Duffy family competitors, Lily Duffy.
Lily Duffy.
3, 2,
Sam was very
1.
amped up and excited for the chance to be this. In addition to kind of the break from the structured competition, 2 Hayward natives, Sam and Adam have welcomed 2 kiddos to their beautiful family.
Yes.
Sam happy to be back on the boom and was smiling. Oh, she's in for a swim. And Lily Duffy with a clean run. Duffy, a name in this sport for
Years.
a long time.
So her dad, Brian Duffy, is a 5-time world champion. Sister Claudia makes top 4 of the boom almost every single season as well. So very
Awesome.
good log rolling, boom running blood.
We're getting the replay of the turn here. Sam, clean turn, as you said. Sam taking a deep breath. Lily squaring to it.
Yep, you can see how those logs move under Lily's feet and try to counteract that as you're going. So Ellie Davenport over
So we got
here.
Ellie Davenport on which boom?
This is Ellie on the right boom
Ellie in the yellow shorts.
and Olivia Judd on the left boom.
Olivia, sorry.
Go ahead.
Let's say Olivia, recent JD graduate. a practicing lawyer?
Yes, she passed her bar in 2019, a few days before LWC happened.
Longtime professional competitor. And Ellie Davenport is a name that I've said in this box on our broadcast here before, and has been a champion and top finisher.
Ellie's won the log rolling in 2016, so she has one title under her belt there, and she has yet to get a boom title, but we'll see if she can do it this year.
Good run there.
Both clean runs. Those are really great.
Clean runs. Nobody went swimming.
Yep, that's always great to see in this competition.
Women's boom run.
Outstanding run. Meredith, when you talk to me about strategy and that you're responding, level with me here. There's part of this that you're just keeping your feet moving and praying a little bit, right?
Yep, I usually count to myself. I know how many steps are on each log, and so it's kind of the rhythm. And once you get out of that, you kind of go for a swim.
Yeah, get it going. So we got Katie Burke with the tall socks
on the left and Claudia Duffy on the right.
Claudia Duffy.
Yep, Lily's older sister.
Older sister. Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Katie Burke, log rolling and boom running show promoter, very active in the upper Midwest.
Absolutely, she puts on 2 different competitions each year, and it's great for our sport to see. She's got one televised and on Alaska each year. So
clean turn together.
Yep, you can see Claudia stretching for that finish line.
That was a good run.
Yeah. Yep. This next heat's going to be pretty fast too. So as we go throughout the night, these heats get faster and faster.
So both of those ladies clean run and fast, but it's based on the fastest time between them or between the booms?
Nope. So tonight they'll run the boom that they just ran, and tomorrow they'll run another one. Of those 2 runs, they will pick the fastest.
Whichever one's fastest.
Whatever one's fastest, the top 4 will go on to Saturday. Only 4.
Okay. So we got Gretchen Green in the yellow trunks, or the green trunks.
Abby Heschler-Delaney on the right side in the red headband.
Abby
is also a 5-time world champion. So we've been going back and forth for the last 6 or 7 years, battling it out.
It literally says here, Abby, Meredith, Abby, Meredith, Meredith, Meredith. We got them even at the barrel. Abby making the turn, and it's frantic. In real life, and taking a swim. And a good finish by Gretchen Green.
And sometimes that happens, you know, you catch your foot, you misstep, those logs aren't quite what you thought they were, you step in those ropes, and sometimes it can get pretty dangerous.
Yeah, it gets
a little dicey.
Yeah, so we're getting a replay here where she's run.
So you could see how she stutter stepped there, and then that right foot just fell in between the logs.
Yep.
You get off that foot count of the logs, and that's what happens.
That is women's boom running, brought to you
Amazing
by
work there. People always say you got to be crazy to swim the axe between your feet, cutting the underhand. But yeah, no, absolutely not. Under no circumstances, Meredith. 5-5. Big time here with Abby the chance to post a 6.
Yes, absolutely.
In 2021. She is also
the world
record holder with 1398 secured 10 years ago.
So,
we come back to the chopping and sawing discipline. Chopping and sawing deck for another chopping discipline. This is the standing block chop. If you've ever fallen a tree, knocked a tree over in the woods with an axe, this is how you do it. And it's not a tree. We just got blocks. So we got randomly assigned blocks, 14 inches. And this is one of my favorite disciplines here, the stage shakes when these guys hit it.
You can just see the power coming out of these guys. Is there any difference between the safety of the standing block compared to the underhand?
Yeah, so guys will have shin, the same things that they have in their shoes normally. We wear it up to your shin. The most dangerous part of this is the first down hit. Generally speaking, if you are not careful with your angle, you can skip out. Your lead foot is right there. If you are also, you can have the opposite. You can scoop in the up direction. That poses a risk to your face or your beard, and that's not a super good feeling either. We got Matt Koger on 1, who is depicted in the program, and a guy who always chops well. We got Nathan Waterfield on stand 2 coming to us from New York, a show promoter and top-tier competitor. We got Calvin Willard, syrup maker, forester, and all around, like Calvin is like duct tape. You just want to have Calvin around. We got Rayner. I like to call him Big Shooter, but he's been cut some weight and take care of himself. Recent father, new dad, working on his grad studies in Georgia. We got the big fella from New York, Chris Savage. And on the last stand, we got Jesse Cutting. Jesse, a competitor who came up through the college ranks. Watch Matt Koger and Nathan Waterfield on stands 1 and 2. Calvin is kind of sneaky on this. He's not a huge guy, but he gets every bit of himself into that axe. Savvy is a huge guy on stand 5, and he hits that log like it stole from him.
This is a big chunk of wood.
Yep, you can kind of see them using that pattern again, like the women were using.
Absolutely. And it looks, people want to say it's just like a baseball swing. If you swing flat, you'll mess up your axe and just bounce off the wood. Want to cut with slope. Dave Bolstead always talked about cutting with a mean slope in the soft wood. And that soundbite is bless his memory, and the guy who we miss in this sport. But in this soft wood. So the top 3 competitors out of this field are going to advance.
Yep.
We got Matt and Bucket off early. Calvin has got it shaken, and Savvy. Dang, Savvy and Jesse are neck and neck for the chance to get into the race tomorrow.
Yep.
Rainer Shooter rounds out the field.
That was a great heat.
It was a good race. Even pattern. Trying to get some drives and chips. You can see on the replay Bucket getting the angle up, the slope up, and then not cutting it, not chopping it evenly through. Want to leave a little dog's ear there so you can drive the axe or drive the block off with the axe. We're going to keep the hammer down into. We got another log rolling match on the far side. We got 2 more log rolling matches, Meredith.
This is a great match over here on the women's side. We have Shauna Verstigan, and Jenny Atkinson, both multiple world titles in this event.
And some OGs in this sport.
Yes, absolutely. Jenny is the first woman to run the boom here at LWC way back when. And her and Shauna kind of battled it out and grew up together a little bit.
2 people who have been in the sport a long time.
Yep, I know Jenny had said, I think she missed 1 season, and she said it was her first season in probably 28 years that she missed, and that was a few years ago. So she is a wonderful competitor who has put her time and energy into this sport for a long time. She started a school up in Grand Marais for all the kiddos up there.
And I do want to be careful in terms of saying OG. We've got some Shears and some Heschlers who will dispute in terms of the history of the sport.
Absolutely.
To be honest. But in recent memory.
In recent memory, yep.
In recent memory, with my apologies.
Yep.
So we've got Jenny and Shauna, and then on the guys match, who we got up here?
I think that match is over there. I think Tom Mengwasser won over Caleb Graves.
Caleb Graves, just climbing the pole,
yes.
All-around competitor.
Yep, you'll see a lot of these guys in the show tonight even, but these guys have competed all day. A lot of these guys are signed up for almost all of the events, and there's a handful like Cassidy who's in every single event throughout the weekend.
Yes.
So he's a busy guy. He's putting in the work.
So what sort of preparation, 24 different disciplines that we're going to see contested here, and some of these people are going to be in 15, 16 of them. What kind of preparation does that take?
I mean, I know from my standpoint of log rolling and boom running how much time and energy that takes, but to put that much time and energy into every single discipline is something to say in itself. I mean, that's why people specialize, right? I mean, people only log roll and boom run, and then they chop and saw. Yep.
And it's easy to draw that line. So we got another men's match coming out.
From Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, Charlie.
We got Charlie Fenton
on the left in the
tank,
colored shorts.
Yeah, the bright shorts.
And then we have Cody Koblitz on the right side.
All right, Shauna and Jesse. Jenny pushing out here on the blue dot. Shauna's 2 falls. The 0 over Jenny. If Shauna wins
Charlie is a world champion boom runner.
Yes.
And tree climber as well.
Charlie's in the water.
So.
But he's in on a swim. Cody with the first fall.
Shauna Martin of Shauna Verstigan.
Shauna Verstigan with the win. Fall 3 on
We are slowly
And then we
working our
have
way
Cody's
down to the
first fall on
finals
Charlie
Saturday, John.
right here.
Yes.
Yep.
So explain to me, is there any
You know
advantage?
what?
Because
Every
Charlie's
one
not a
of
big
these
guy.
athletes that do it
Cody's a
around
pretty
to
big
get
guy.
there.
He's one of the bigger
The fun
guys
is
in the
yet to
men's
come.
log rolling.
Yep.
Is that useful to
It
him?
only gets
For
better
him,
from
yeah,
here.
absolutely. He
make
can
sure
grab
you
a
come
hold
on
of that
out
log,
every night,
put the
track
power
these
on it,
lumberjacks and
kind of toss these
lumberjills
smaller guys around, and then that's where
throughout
these
this
smaller guys kind of
competition.
sit on
Cody
top,
and Charlie
light on their feet,
pushing back out for their second roll here.
kind of
Cody currently
try to
one
float
fall
over those
up.
power that those big
Over
guys are
Charlie.
kicking out.
And that is a bucking match.
In men's
so
log
we'll see a
rolling,
little more
got to say
aggression. Each
Jamie
guy
Fisher, a
finding
guy
out,
who I've had an
take control
opportunity
of
to
the
work
ball.
with,
You may see
many-time
kicks of
world
water
champion,
to see
J.R.
earlier
Salzman,
matches.
10-time world
And again,
champion in this event.
Yep.
A guy whose face it is always a privilege to see around the Lumberjack Bowl.
Yep. You see Charlie trying to go for a kick right there.
So he wasn't kung fu fighting here.
No, he's not
Trying
kung
to
fu
blind
fighting.
Cody.
Oh, and a wicked fall by Cody
The judges
Kublitz.
calling that.
So we can see the judges making a decision right now.
And what are they
And
looking
that goes
for?
to Cody as well.
What are they looking? They're
He is
looking
now
for
2 falls.
person with last control of the log. So
Over
typically
Charlie.
it's the sole of your foot, and as long as that's on there, that fall is yours. So
So even if you're
All right, when
flying
they get
through the
pushed back
air,
out, they get their
and you got that
time.
foot on the log,
Once they
it
push
counts.
back
If the other
out, Cody
person's
wins this one.
just
He will
flying.
be our winner
Yep.
Wow.
of the match here.
Wow.
Moving on to the next round.
And another interesting fact about Cody, he missed a couple seasons due to cancer, and so to see him out here competing, this is a huge thing for him and his family. His
It's
dad
awesome.
is a very long-time volunteer, head judge on the other dock for the women's matches. It's great to see
Already
athletes
we're
like
pushing
Jenny
out for
and
our
Cody
third
coming
roll.
back
Cody
after fighting
Kublitz.
cancer.
yeah.
Currently
What-
2 falls
Yeah.
over Charlie
What a
Fenton.
privilege to be running through the Lumberjack Bowl, spinning the log, and looks like wearing a smile from what I can see.
Yes, absolutely. Like
They're
he
setting
always
their
has a
rolling
smile
folks.
on.
Cheer them on.
So Cody's looking for his
Cody
third fall
against
here against Charlie. You can see Charlie working hard to stay light on those feet. Cody's giving that log a kick. It's
In
getting
this
pretty
lucky
close
night,
to that
Cody
center
is the one
line,
with his
so
back to
sometimes
the
you
top,
gotta
Doc.
watch that inside foot. If that foot touches that
Cody
line,
being very
that's a
aggressive,
fall
trying
to
stop
Charlie
and
there.
change directions. Charlie's in
And
the
he-
water.
That looked like a horsepower thing.
Yep,
Was
right
that-
there.
Cody wins
Fair?
his first match of
I'm gonna look at the
show.
replay
Now,
really
It was
quick.
just kind of
before
tap,
you take this away,
tap
I
and change
feel
it up, and
discussing
I think it's
getting
the
better.
old
Cody
1-2
actually
and back the other
unmissed
direction.
our
Shake and bake, baby.
2019 Lumberjack World
So you can
Championships,
see him,
because
he
right
hopped
after
up
the
and put that weight on the inside
2018
foot and just
Lumberjack World
sent Charlie right
Championships,
in.
just ripped
he
it. That was
diagnosed with colon cancer.
That was
and
awesome.
We are happy to have him here today. Let's give him a big round of applause. We're going to see more of him throughout the weekend.
Yep.
well. That I like that,
Oh.
getting the chance to see him press on
Yes, absolutely.
and getting the chance to see the next chapter of his story. What a privilege there.
Yep.
So we're going to come back here to the chopping and sawing dock.
Thank you,
Got the
Sam.
single buck. This is the first time we got the hand
Now,
saws
ladies and
out.
gentlemen, please direct your
We got
attention back
16
to the
inches
chopping
of
and
wood out
sawing
here,
dock for
and the motors
women
are going to be
single
wearing
buck
blue shirts.
competition.
They're not going to be dirt bikes.
At stand
The ladies are going to pull this saw back and forth, 1 horsepower, back and forth till they get to the bottom.
And Aaron Lavoie on stand 1, very strong single bucker, as
Very
well as Kate Witkowski on this stand 2.
I would say Aaron very strong in everything. Owns a CrossFit gym. Is works when you talk about functional fitness and activity. She is a person who is always out
At stand 5,
living life with a
Millie
capital L.
Kerrigan.
Second stand, we got Kate Witkowski,
stand
currently a
6,
local
Laura
athlete,
Helmet.
came up through the college ranks. We
16
got
inches
Alex
away,
Miller
right
and the
line.
headband on the third stand. Good competitor from the Northeast. We've got Andrea Card coming to us from California. We got Kelly Kerrigan here
Judges
on
and timers
5,
ready.
also from the Northeast,
Contestants
and
ready.
Laura Helmick on
3,
6. Keep an
2,
eye on Lavoie and
1,
Witkowski here.
go.
Stands 1, 2, 3 should be making a good
Take
run.
on a favorite and help them out.
You look
folks,
for
as they'll be
cadence.
working
Some
hard
people
out
go
here.
fast, some people go slow, just different strokes for different
Very
folks.
good technique
But you
from
get to the
all
bottom of the
6 of
log
these athletes.
by using all of the
This
teeth
one
on your
take
saw.
long,
Yep, you can see Aaron on stand 1. She was using that entire saw. She got hung up there at the bottom. Kate almost got her, but take a look at that. See Aaron pulling that saw all the way back, almost into the wood.
Yep.
It's great.
Aaron, professional competitor for a long time, somebody who kind of blew up onto the timber sports
Women's
scene.
single buck.
Being very
sponsored by the
naturally
Navy.
athletic and very
Mohawk Lodge.
dedicated in her preparation has really Didn't spend much time messing around with being in between. Got very, very serious and top-tier competitive.
Now, ladies and gentlemen,
Kate
one of the
Wachowski
most
through the
exciting
college
events
ranks,
of
they
the
were
night down
neck
in
and neck.
South
Aaron using her whole saw, Kate using her whole saw with a little bit different cadence. So if you move more wood per each stroke, you're not going as fast. It's a trade-off, but whoever makes the cookie fall on the ground first.
Cookie crumbles.
Yeah, as the cookie crumbles. Looks like Kate and Aaron, I think it was Kelly Kerrigan here in third. Very close finish with Alex Miller. Be interested to see what the final tally is on that.
Yep, so for these sawing events, top times from today move on to tomorrow. So in these sawing events, top 12 from today will move on and compete again tomorrow. And then the chopping events are a little bit different, like we'd mentioned before, where top 3 in each chopping event move on in the heat.
Yep, top 3 from each heat. So going to keep it going. Record in that event set by Hayward native Nancy Zaleski, 11.4 seconds. No way. Nancy, many-time world champion. Martha King, the defending world champion in the single saw event. This is kind of pole climbing, but we're on the other side of the bowl, so it's only a 9-foot-tall pole. These athletes are going to start on the ground. They got 2 boards and an axe. They're going to make a hole, fill it with their first board, jump on the first board, make a hole for the second board, jump on the second board, and they're going to chop through a 12-inch diameter log waiting for them on the top. We've got Ben Marshall, Billy Cornelius, Adam Lethko, and Mark Boquin. Some ferocious competitors. Lethko and Billy should be making a good stand in the springboard chop.
Billy Cornelius. At stand 3, Adam Lethko.
Now what's good on this event, Adrian? Four cuts in for a pocket, 6.
In a perfect world, you see Adam Lethko pretty consistent with 4. If you're a smaller guy, if you're a smaller guy or you trust your pocket, you make it 4. Get the board buried. So it's not just cutting the perfect hole or cutting a good hole, but getting your board stuck in there. And so you'll see contestants take great care. So he's clearing with 5, going to make me a liar.
See,
and then
Lethko already going up.
Look how that board is coming out. He didn't quite cut it correctly enough.
Billy Cornelius got a good board set, so that gives you peace of mind making the second board hole. He's going to chase it around the tree a little bit, draw it to a tight V. These boards have got a little metal clip on the end, so that when you put it in, the clip levers up into the wood fiber and locks in. In a good set, should be pretty close to flat, so that when you put your body weight on it, you're about flat. 2 uphill, and you're kind of leaning into the log, and 2 downhill, listing side to side. You don't want that. No room at the end for that. Then you get to the top, and you're just chopping 6.5 feet up in the air. So
is that scary up there? I've never been up that high. Chopping at least.
One of the great parts of it, if you just look at the log, everything's great. I get used to get very nervous and would look at my feet. Just look at the log. They're going to be working through on the same pattern of drives and chips that's common to every chopping discipline. Adam Lethko, despite being the last guy up, is making the turn. You see Billy is slicing, just putting straight down hits. Adam is chopping backhanded like a baseball player switch hitting. The advantage or disadvantage is what you're comfortable with, and it's personal choice. So Adam's drawing some chips. The problem on this 12-inch log is unless you take that was amazing.
To come back like that in an event like this is something to see.
That's what I'm saying. This guy,
he will be very disappointed because
Adam is he's a quiet guy. He's one of those people with passion and enthusiasm that you just see it burning. Not a lot of other song and dance. He just makes things happen.
Yep.
So last guy up,
gets the loudest
first guy
applause.
off. Oh yeah, so the last guy here, we got Ben Marshall drawn into a tight field. Ben, a guy who works across the Northeast producing shows. Good attitude, and a guy you can always count on to have a smile and a positive spin. Billy Cornelius, now nursery operator. He makes baby trees stay safe. He takes tree seeds and makes them go from seeds to little trees, and then makes the little trees find their forever homes.
That's great to see.
It's pretty cool. We got Mark.
There we
Ben's
go.
got his log off. Mark's taking the front out of his log. Mark's first time up at the Lumberjack World Championships. From Springville, New York. Guy who's traveled around as a lumberjack entertainer for a number of years and really has burst onto the timber sports, the lumberjacks competition scene.
Yep. You can see Mark made the turn there.
Yep. So he is just putting down his. Yep. And the block is off. The greatest moment of that good replay here, Adam reaching out to get that far wood, knowing that's where the block is hung up, and peeling it off. Good run. He's got to be pleased, but he also's got to wonder, gosh, he had the right axe and the right piece of wood. The board set cost him.
Yep, and with that event, only the top 4.
Yes, only 4.
Only 4 go to Saturday, so they get one shot to cut that springboard, and that's it. So it's always good to see good pockets stay. So
yep, good pockets, good board lock in, and just up the tree. Kind of always make the joke, lumberjack elevator. It's like a portable stairwell. Each of those boards, those are your personal boards, and your clips are ground the way you want them, and those grab in the board hole a little bit differently, so you get used to what you're used to.
Nice.
So next discipline we have is the Masters underhand chop. It's not that the other guys weren't good at it. The Masters means what?
That they're over 55.
Over 55. Yep. So we can't drive 55, but we can race 55. This is also going to be a little bit different because it's not just a go. This is going to be what's called a handicapped race, which means based on previous performance, relative age, and other variables that we don't know.
Correct.
I know Mike had a little bit of an injury early in the season, don't know how healed up he is. The person who is going to probably take the longest time to cut the log is going to start closest to go.
Correct.
The competitor who they expect to cut the fastest has a larger what's called handicap. And they are going to sit and wait, and wait, and wait. Well, everybody else gets a head start on them. And it seems to me always watching this discipline, the hardest part is the mental. Because you got to watch somebody else lay into this log, and you can't do anything about it.
Yep, and if they hit before goal, that they're completely disqualified.
Yep.
So
can't jump the gun, even if you don't like your handicap. Tough cookies. We have on stand 1, Mike Sullivan, previously operating the hot saw. We've got on stand 2, Mike Slingerland, Papa Sling. We've got on stand 3, Dave Ingasser. On stand 5, Dave Stadler, who is going to be starting on go. You can tell by Dave's hair and Dave's shoes that Dave has been chopping a lot of wood for a long time.
yes.
And we've got a guy who's known, I'd say, probably more for his hot saw operating, Warwick Hallett. Came to us from New Zealand, but has been living in Minnesota as long as I've known him, and has been a part of, I would say, the upstart or the growth of many, many college competitors in the greater Midwest area. Guys like Adam LaSalle, Ben Hansen, Ben Whalen, Rainer Shooter, Andrew Golnick, guys who Warwick just makes things happen.
Yep, absolutely. I know Warwick puts a lot of time and effort into those guys, and it really shows. They're all out here competing this weekend. So it's great to see those older generations giving back to the youth to continue the sport, because if we don't have the youth, then there is no sport.
Yeah, if you don't have the next generation, absolutely. Mike Sullivan coming to us from Connecticut, 62 years old. Mike Slingerland.
Mike Slingerland is 64 years old.
Mike Sling, 60.
And he starts at 44. He's 57, actually.
57 years old, and is going to be starting with a handicap of 44.
At position 3, Dave.
Must have been a mix-up in the ages there.
Little dust up there.
Is 50 years young.
Dave Ingasser passing it's a 50-year-old threshold. Dave Ingasser is a guy who, as I said earlier, an assassin in the sport, always making way.
81 years young.
Dave Stadler, 81 years old. Big round of applause for him. Dave starts on go. And on stand 6.
And at position number 6, Warwick Hallett.
Warwick Howard is 64.
Warwick Howard, 64 years old.
And he will start 36 seconds back.
Starting 36 seconds in. So it is going to be a little bit of a different start. Dave is going to go on go. And the next contestant's not going to be off for about 30 seconds, 35 seconds.
2, 1, go.
And after 80 years, Dave is one of those positive juggernauts in the sport,
5, 6,
helping
7,
the next generation, telling stories. And to me, when you talk about institutional knowledge, you talk about the history or tradition, the sport of lumberjack racing, it's history. It's how we built, how we got materials for infrastructure. And Dave has been in the sport since must have been very close to the beginning.
30, 31,
Warwick Hallett is off.
33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 31.
Hallett is off now properly at 36.
I think all four of these guys, or three of these guys left on 1, 2, and 3 are going to start on 44 right there.
44 and 45 seconds. So Dave is still in the front. Warwick has made his turn, the same pattern of driver chips. They're on a 12-inch block. Mike Sling looking fluid on the turn. Mike and Mike on the far end here, guys who I like for the...
Making easy work of this wood.
Yep. It looks like good pieces of Espn on their stand. Mike driving. Dave Ingasser into the short chip already. Warwick driving. Big Sling is off. And Dave is severed.
Yep.
For the photo finish. Dave Stadler still going. Mike Sullivan has got some block. The wood doesn't want to move quite. So it's not just a sharp axe, Meredith. It's the axe for the wood with the swing for the day. There's just so many variables. If you've ever seen Steph Curry shoot a 3, he can shoot wherever he wants, but it's the diameter of the basketball and the diameter of the hoop never change.
Yep.
Here you get a 12-inch log and your axe is sharp, but if your axe and that block aren't friends.
And you can see a couple of these guys bring out a second axe.
Yep.
Is that if the wood and the axe don't mesh together, you can switch it out? And
so it could be, if you don't like your first pick, you always guess. The choice of one or the other, it's like picking your favorite child. The other part is if you open up any crazy knots, these axes are so sharp and so fine that if you find any kind of knot or disturbance in the wood grain, you run the risk of breaking the steel. So being prepared for that.
There he is. Big standing round of applause from everybody here in the stands.
Everybody, what a round of applause. Standing ovation for Dave Stadler, 81 years old. That's pretty awesome.
It's a lot of work out there. I've cut a few blocks too, and I mean, it is a lot of work.
A lot of work and a long day. When you're 81 years old, as far as I'm concerned, you do what you want.
Yep.
Replay there, Papa Sling.
Almost falling off the back, catching his balance and sending that driver hit home.
Yep, last drive to punch it off. We are going to take a 15-minute intermission. We are going to be taking a 15-minute intermission, but before we go to the intermission, we're going to replay some highlights from the first half of the Thursday night qualifying round of the 61st Annual Lumberjack World Championships here in Hayward, Wisconsin.
Yep.
Welcome back to the second half of the Lumberjack World Championships, 61st Annual Lumberjack World Championships up here in Hayward, Wisconsin. My name is Adrian Flick, and I am joined by Meredith Ingretson. Meredith, we're going to take a look at the highlights of the first half of this evening's show. What stood out to you so far in the competition?
You know, these pole climbers, you can see them going up. Caleb Graves, reigning world champion, great effort. And then you see him a little bit later in the log rolling. You know, you got to give these guys props for competing all over the bowl. I'm excited to see where they land after the weekend.
Bouncing around, jack of all trades, which is a big responsibility.
Yep.
Livy Papadopoulos here.
On the left side.
I'll tell you, what stands out to me, dominance. I grew up in the 90s and watched Jordan score all the points on everybody. And this has been really awesome. The last 3 times that I've closely watched log rolling.
You can just see the power she has in her feet right here to take advantage of Lizzie and just put her in like that. Livy has that power, and she uses it to her advantage 100%.
Looking pretty effortless, and this is only the qualifying rounds, but strong showing. What does setting the tone like that do to the other competitors? Because I can see there's a bunch of other athletes who are watching, and when you see somebody give somebody a swim like that, what do you think?
You know, it's the stance where she is at right now, not losing a match in her whole entire competitive professional career. Going into year number 3.5, 4. We didn't have a season last year, but so 3rd official season, and she hasn't lost a match. So just returning with that dominance, and after a while, these other competitors start to question, you know, can she be beaten? And I think earlier this year, there's been a couple close matches against her, but she has reigned supreme. So
yeah, she has been making a showing. Matt Koger wrapping up. Strong showing from him in the standing block. Matt's a guy, an axeman in this field. Matt and Jason Lentz, big, huge oxes of guys, could be playing tight end for the Packers or could be playing power forward for the Bucks. They're fierce with the axe. He won his heat by fair margin. That, to me, dominance.
Yes, absolutely, on the men's side for sure.
Strong showing there. Haven't had any other really big standout performances. We're going to see a little bit of a flip-flop here. The disciplines we saw ladies do in the first half, guys are going to do, and vice versa.
Okay.
So, chance to see people shine here.
We'll get to see them climb 90 feet.
We're going up the 90-foot pole.
Yep, that's what we're going to open up the second half of the show with. Get the people going.
We're going to give the people what they want. 90-foot speed climb record. These are going to be with modified gaffs, unlike the traditional gaffs. I misspoke earlier. Unlike the traditional gaffs that we saw in the 60. Record held by Sterling Hart, set in 2013. Not sure if the old Ginger Ninja is out there watching, but Sterling, a guy who looked comfortable going up 90 feet and then bailing out. He and Brian Bartow, Cass, Tom, these guys are, it's like, hey man, are you sure that you want it? Are you really sure? And then they do it and they crush. So really profound athletic performance.
And I always question with those two, that rope that connected them at the top, I thought it was to keep them steady, but it's to keep their ropes from going over the top of those poles so they don't fall.
Yes,
completely down.
The catch at 60, you're not going to the end of the pole, so your last throw, you touch the line. There's no risk of going over the pole. On 90, that line is way the heck up there, and so you're serious on this. People can't see you're making serious Meredith face of. That's to make sure, because if you skip your last rope over the top, it's going to be a bad time.
Yeah, no, definitely. We have seen some bad injuries in the past with pole climbing, but lucky today that we haven't seen anything. So.
Yep, everybody taking the safety precautions.
Absolutely.
Even with the cash prizes and the world title at stake.
Yep.
We're going to see the guys cut the 14-inch underhand. You saw them cut the 14-inch standing. Another one of my favorite disciplines. These logs are randomly assigned, lathe turned, all 14 inches, but there's still a little luck of the draw. You get a nicer piece of wood, you can use an axe that maybe is a little hungrier, but the logs were set up for a lot of these athletes early this morning.
People got to Lumberjack Bowl this morning at 7:30, approximately 7:30 in the morning, after a proper lumberjack breakfast. And some of these logs have been out in the sun. Weather has been beautiful.
Yeah, it just started to get sunny here. It's been a little hazy all day, but it's not too bad. No rain.
Nope.
Perfect temperature, a little bit of a breeze. I mean, this is what you expect at LWC each year.
Yep. And so it should be a good one. You'll see athletes are fine-tuning their footholds. Those flattened areas are not a competitive advantage. They're a safety means, so there's a flat place to stand. It also gives athletes a chance to test their axes. Everybody brings a number of axes that kind of starts at 2 and goes to a lot. As many as 2 or 3, 4 axe boxes sitting around, depending on whose camp you're in.
Yep.
And put it in the foothold and tap it a little bit and see if it's free. And then you got the old standbys. And then you got the new axes. And maybe if you're lucky, Rob Spry, or you snag one from Fave and get an axe that's really dialed, get it polished up, fine-tuned, and then you tap it again and you tap it again. Sometimes you fall back to your trusty old horse. Sometimes you try the new one. And after they say go, there's not too much going back. It's time to rock and roll.
Yep. And you see these men setting their single buck saws up out here. They get about, 10 inches?
They get an arc measured over the top
so that those teeth are set before they pull right off the top. Safety measure,
yes.
Get a good cut in. Everybody gets the same kerf on top, so.
Yes, and Meredith, I am always compelled to say, in Euclidean geometry, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and so they're trying to get squared in the log so that they don't cut out of the cookie and that they can get from the top to the bottom as quickly as possible. Yeah, onto the men's single. World record set in 2006 by Dion Lane, 10.78.
That's cooking.
Yeah, watching Dion and Jason demolish saw races. Big, huge, strong guys. Dion, I always think of Dion smiling when I see him racing, and then crushing, sawing, and chopping. And 10.78 is a 20-inch piece of wood. I think you'd be hard-pressed to cut through the top to the bottom with a chainsaw, let alone a 1-horsepower engine being the athlete. But when the wood's right, you get a good file from your saw. You talk to Jim Taylor. Maybe you got one from Grant and the crew down there in New Zealand, or one of the KBT saws that you get a good file. Sometimes, if you put your stroke together, you can get it right to the bottom, and maybe not 10.78, but close to it. In the first heat here with the men's single, we got Dave Jewett, many-time world champion in this event. A guy who, you just have to see it, he uses every ounce of himself to compel that saw through the block. Next one, we got Adam LaSalle. Adam LaSalle, recent father, long-standing competitor. Adam and I have driven all across the United States and chopped logs together. Guy who I would say the single saw discipline is his top discipline. Jason Lentz, national champion winner last weekend down in Little Rock, Arkansas, and a giant guy. Brian Gutekunst, if you're listening, I'm saying NFL. He is every bit of 6'6". I think he's probably north of 250. Strong as an ox. Just puts the horsepower down. Got a good saw. It's not just horsepower, but a mean machine. Stand 5, we got Andrew Golnick.
2019 novice single bucks winner.
Novice champion. So when we say professional lumberjacks, it's not that this is these people's only job. We mean professional, that they make money if you win.
Correct.
And so Goalie works on fireworks as a forester down in the southern part of the state, came up through the point program, University of Wisconsin Stevens Point program.
Yep.
But as you said, competed as a novice, and so you win novice, and they say congratulations. No more 16-inch log, 20.
Yep.
People like Dave Jewett and Adam LaSalle are going to be standing on the stage with you, giving you the business. And the last stand, another pointer, Adam LaSalle a pointer as well, but the last stand, athlete on stand 6, coming to us from probably as close as you can physically live to the Lumberjack Bowl, Ben Hansen. Forester up here in Hayward.
Yep.
college competitor.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yep, 2013 rookie world champion.
Yep, world champion.
That was held over in Stuttgart, Germany.
Doesn't like wearing shoes.
Does not like shoes at
The
all.
first 5 years I knew Ben, I did not see him wear shoes, which is a legitimate problem when you were trying to compete in lumberjack sports.
Yes, you need your toes in all aspects of life.
But this is kind of an interesting heat in the professional versus non-professional stance. 3 of the guys on the stage, foresters by training, by education, and by day job. We've got the whole gamut, guys who work as lumberjack competitors and entertainers. We got high school teachers. We got some doctors and some lawyers, some physical therapists. It's really kind of a mixed bag, this field of athletes today.
Yeah, it's really cool to see the different backgrounds that everybody comes from and all across the U.S. here this year.
90 feet.
So we're going to bring it back to the action. It's 90-foot time. You can't hype this up enough. You can see these poles from miles away. They're taller than the water tower. We got Caleb Graves coming to us on stand 1 and Turbo Tom Lancaster on pole 2. They call him Turbo because of this event. Tom does everything
110%.
spooled up like a turbo. And yeah, this is one where you'll be able to showcase the turbo.
And you can see the difference in their gaffs right here, how they attach to their toes instead of the middle of their foot like those 60-foot traditionals. So they're going to be using more of their calves and their butts rather than just their quads like they were on the first one. So they'll be sprinting up this one.
Basically running and skipping rope,
Correct.
except up, not running and skipping rope vertically.
What that does is that stiffens that rope up. So with just a flick of a wrist.
Yep, we got Caleb here on the blue pads on the right, and then we got Turbo Tom on the green pads on the left.
Green pads with the white shoes. They're getting dialed in. They got gloves on their paws because these poles are not like smooth and comfortable. These are wood trees, cedar trees that live here as climbing poles. And after putting gaffs into and out of them, they're a little bit prickly, to say the least.
Absolutely, yep.
I'm not a betting man, but I'm gonna keep an eye on Turbo here. I think he's gonna do enough to get the W.
You think so? I think the returning world champ is gonna pull out of this heat with a win.
Well, we got a horse apiece here.
All right.
1, go.
So good start. To me, the exciting part is when you see him pass that red line,
Ooh, Caleb
because
with a big
it's
slip
walked.
there.
Yeah,
Yes.
Caleb Graves with a slip up.
There's the 60-foot mark. You can see that red line.
And now a
Caleb's
slip
starting
by
to gain
Turbo.
on him just a little bit. Ooh. You can see how far they have to choke up on these ropes.
Caleb right behind him.
The difference on the top, Caleb Graves
just
catching him
pulling
up,
himself
and he's
down
down.
there.
Tom right behind him.
I think that's Caleb's biggest asset right there. He doesn't just fall, he pulls himself down to the ground.
Yep, absolutely.
So
Hucks the rope a little bit and keeps it shuffling down. I don't know what it feels like to slip climbing up those, but once you clear the 60 and lose your footing,
I would say that is not something I would like to do.
yeah.
Tied in or not.
No.
These guys are fearless.
Yeah, fearless and determined. I really, when you talk about resilience and commitment, when it's just you and your rope and your spikes, you either did it or you didn't. You can't buy that. So
Absolutely.
that was an awesome run on the 90. We'll be seeing that again on Thursday and
What do
Friday.
you think of that 90-foot climb here, folks? Let's give them one more round of applause. That's a long way up, and you can see the whole town lake from up there.
And of course, that area at the bottom is actually called the loony bin. You think the fence is to keep
We're going to keep it going back on the chopping and sawing discipline.
Yep, we got a couple women's mashers pushing out at the same time over on the log rolling docks.
On the ladies log rolling, who we got?
We got Claudia Duffy and Abby Heschler Delaney on the left over there, and then we have Gretchen Green in the yellow shorts, and then Claire Keach on the left side of that, on the left side of your screen right here.
So these ladies are competing against the person on their log, but they may, depending on the bracket seating, may ultimately meet the winner of the other matches.
Correct. Depending on how this bracket is set up, most of these competitors will see each other in the end. So Claire, 17, 18 years old, trying to keep those shirts dry gives you a little bit of an advantage, but typically when you're long rolling,
Thank you, Sam. And now,
your
ladies and
uniform
gentlemen,
usually gets wet.
You end up.
See Claudia and Abby right here. They just started on this number 3 log. Really tested the waters right here. Not too much action. They are feeling each other out.
This is a running match. They're looking on over opposite shoulders.
Correct, yep. So a little bit more passive of a match. It's typically what you see in a running match, and then those bucking matches are where people face opposite ways, is where you get that big white water. This would be a match to keep an eye on.
Opportunity to advance, opportunity for the pride there.
Yep.
And the running match kind of, I like the mindset of kind of trying to outlast. It's a long play. We do have Aaron Hovis joining us on stand 6 in the single. It looks like we are going to be coming to the chopping and sawing discipline stage.
Contestants ready.
Coming to us from Missouri, I like Dave and Adam on stands 1 and 2, guys who should be running. Jason Lentz will not be far. Jason Lentz, the saw, is loving it. Adam LaSalle.
Dave Jewett on 1 is using that whole saw like we talked about before, using every single tooth. You got Jason Lentz on stand 3, Adam LaSalle, Dave Jewett.
Yes,
Got
Jason's
Ben
got to be
Hansen
pleased with that.
and Andrew finishing up there.
How about a hand for all of those guys? Great
Good
sawing.
run from Jason Lentz. No hang-ups and just drove that log off. Using a saw that must be close to 6'6". Adam LaSalle with a great run. He's been battling some back hassles and issues in the miles, beating him up.
Yep.
So we are going to continue the action. We're going to have a little bit more sawing discipline coming up, but we're going to put 2 athletes on it.
Yeah,
We're going to
go ahead. This match on the red dock right here between Gretchen Green and Claire Keach.
And now over to Sam.
Claire's new to the pro ranks. She was rolling U17 in 2019, and now she's professional, really taking the field by storm. Ranked number 3 overall, behind Livy Papadopoulos and Ellie Davenport. So Gretchen also a strong roller. Gretchen won in 2013, so really strong competitors here. You can see how passive they are right now, really feeling each other out. I'm going to go ahead and say that this 0-0 match is going to go straight to the 4 log.
And so this is a 3 right now.
Yep, the 3 log is blue with a 3-minute time limit. So it is a continuous time. If someone were to have a fall, they would stop it, they would keep that time, and when they'd say time in again, we would pick right back where we pick up right where we left off. So
Got it.
Claudia and Abby over there on the left side, they had a safety issue. They were too close to the dock, and so
Yes.
now they're pulling back out, getting reset on that number 3. So we're going to see both of these 0-0 matches go to those dynamite sticks.
A foot log. I got a size 12 shoe. That's about a foot.
That's about a foot.
And I would not want to share the log. Holy cow. This is going to get amazing. And is there any strategy when you know that you got a top-tier competitor on the other side to just say, hey, let's just kind of do-si-do around a little bit because we know where this is going?
Right, and sometimes it's tough to do that, to be patient, and if they do make a mistake, I know early in the competition some of the competitors will get a little jumpy on that 2-lug because they want to see stuff happen, but it's slow. The women aren't as strong. It takes a lot more effort to move it, so typically you see them wait till they get to these smaller logs to make their big moves, use their power and stuff like that. So you can see Claudia and Abby jumping in. Time is up on that. You can see them getting that yellow log pulled out. Gretchen and Claire over here, looking steady. Also timed
out. So they both just agree. They get the sign for time. They pop in the water.
Correct. Yep.
Who has to bring the log back?
Typically, there's a paddle boat driver who usually gets the log for these pro competitors. Sometimes, depending on how far it is or how close the yards, we usually just give it a shove as best as we can. So
It's really hard to get
red
that
cedar.
log back in
Red
control.
cedar,
logs?
western red
You
cedar.
simply
Yep,
can't
the
see it.
buoyancy of these logs
And of course, the big thing is Western Red
second to
Cedars are
none.
very
So
buoyant, a light log. But,
Tend to float.
getting rare to find right now.
Yeah.
So when we can find a good one, you can see on the right side, the log is a little bit more worn, and on the left side, these girls are stepping onto a brand new log. So you can see how low this log floats compared to the other one. It's just the size of it, and you're gonna see their feet moving. This log hasn't been brought out all night.
Dang.
So see how much faster these logs are. I mean, before they were just kind of pitter-pattering out there, and now we got some serious action.
Now it's time to dance.
Absolutely.
It's an interesting look. You can see moving closer or farther to the center line and trying to keep an eye on the other person. Do you watch the other people's feet?
Yep, yeah, that's exactly what you want to do. I would almost relate it to boxing. You kind of want to play offense and defense at the same time. What are they going to do? What am I going to do? If they hit me first, what am I going to bounce back with?
Oh, and we got a fall. Gretchen Green
of Madison, Wisconsin,
with
winning the first fall.
the bright yellow or greenish shorts with the first fall
You got
on the number 4 log.
Yep, you got Claudia and Abby really waving those arms right now, steady.
Oh!
Claudia gets that first fall.
In that match as well.
Claudia gets the ball. We're even at 1 apiece.
Yep, Abby also a new mom this season
Dang.
with her second one. We have 5 or 6 women out here competing about 5 months after their second child. So it is great to see all these women coming back out, being strong with family. They have really great support from their partners, and so it's amazing to see that all these women are back this season. So
Coming back, keeping the sport going,
yeah,
competing at a high level, that part of, again, balancing professional responsibilities, personal responsibilities, and trying to keep things right so that you're prepared to come to the World Championships up here in Hayward, Wisconsin.
Getting pushed back out on the log.
So it takes a lot of people to make this event work. You see there's people who are event officials with those
red shirts on tonight.
with the red shirts.
We're good to go.
They provide the balance
Pick your favorite, cheer them on.
stick to have the athletes push out so they get a safe distance away, and then the log can just go wherever it goes.
Yep, typically in these running matches, you'll see that log float out a little bit further. You can see Gretchen and Claire really getting after it with that white water. They're really floating out into those lily pads. Abby and Claudia getting off to a fast start as well, waving those arms. Got to settle down, keep those arms nice and steady, get that center of balance back, regroup. So it's constant checking of balances and digging deep.
Some cedar
in the
cedar. To me, that part of this, you don't know when you're going to fall, and you're trying to keep your feet on as long as possible.
Yep.
Some tough wipeouts.
Sometimes you just end up slipping. Ooh, big fall.
Yeah.
By both of them there.
Nobody looked pleased about that.
No. We got Claudia and Abby are here still rolling on the
strong.
floor. I think Claudia's up 1 fall to 0 right
Correct.
now, so this looks like it's going to be a long match. The endurance that you have to roll on this size of a log at that speed, I mean, it is incredible. These athletes train all year round. Claudia with a second fall.
Claudia taking 2. What did you see? Was it a misstep? What did the slip there? Power move?
I'm going to watch for the replay on that one. I didn't get a good look at it the first time, so let's wait for it here. So Abby's got that inside foot, kind of stepping on her right. She jumps up, and Claudia uses that foot to kick it. Both feet were on the front side of that log, and got Abby on her heels, and Abby went down.
Yeah, and then just less dexterous at that part.
It's hard once you get caught both feet on one side of the log. That's where people usually take advantage of you. So we got Gretchen and Claire going back out on the red dock. Gretchen up 2 over Claire.
Yep.
So
is there a part when you're competing, you're up 2, do you feel there's blood in the water? Do you roll more aggressively knowing that you're 1 fall away from shutting it down?
Absolutely. I would say that a 2-0 match, I put it on the pressure a little bit more. Claire with a nice recovery, keeping those arms down, locking them in place. Gretchen with the third. We'll check up judge's call on that.
Wait for judge's call. Looks like Gretchen
was the winner of that one. Now we go back to the shopping and sewing dock.
We're going to do a little shopping and sewing. We got 2 athletes on the saw this time. We call it Jack and Jill. Some of these teams are husband and wife. Some of these teams are just friends. Some of these teams don't talk about it and make us guess. And it gets a little bit weird. So Alex Miller and Chris Savash on stand 1, a traveling team from the same region. Kind of a big and little. There's a lot of horsepower there.
Yep.
Savvy is big and tough, and Alex is not big but very tough, strong, powerful athlete. Middle stand, we've got Kelly Kerrigan and Ben Marshall. They call him the Wizard. We've got husband and wife team Brenda Boyko and Derek Pauchnik.
Ready. Contestants ready. 3, 2.
And we've got Cassie Ferrero and Matt Slingerland, Hannah Quigley and Dave Ingasser. And on our last stand, we got Kate Wachowski and Matt Koger, and they are burning that cookie off. What a cut.
Kate and Matt down on stand 6. Just like butter.
Matt Koger, a pretty quiet guy, smiling ear to ear after he ripped that one off. Looked like a little bobble at the top, but they were into the short
all the way down.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the other part, not just a sharp saw, good transitions when you got the other person. You can't push when they're pulling, and you got to share the saw because there's only one.
Yep.
But they got to the bottom of that 20-inch log. The record, 6 seconds, set by a team we will see a little bit later, Dave Jewett and Lindsey Dawn, at 6 seconds. I don't have a clock up here, but that was darn fast.
Yes,
Good run there for Matt and Kate.
So we see these log rolling matches pushed back out. Looks like Abby might have won a fall over there. It looked pretty close. Could have been a draw. So we do know Claudia's up 2-0 for sure. Sorry, 2 falls Claudia has. Abby, we are unsure right now. We have
another matchup.
Yep, on the red dock we have Ellie Davenport
in the orange shorts
and Lily Duffy. So we got a pair of sisters rolling out there right now on different docks. So
sweet. It is a family affair.
It is absolutely a family affair, whether you're related or not. It's we're one big happy lumberjack family.
We've also got another heat of the 90. We got Andrew Jensen coming to us from Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, an entertainer down there. And local favorite, Cassidy Shear.
Yep. Cass on the green pad right there with the plaid tights on.
You can, tights, leggings. You'll notice Cassidy, the way he bails out, that's black tape on his left kind of butt.
And you'll see why in here in a second.
It will make a lot of sense, absolutely, the way he bails out. Same thing, race to the top and back down.
2, 1, go.
Good start key to getting the cadence. And the other part that you hit on, Meredith, on the bottom, the tree is getting in the neighborhood of 4 feet in diameter. On the top, it shrinks down to about 18 inches. So that is a great difference. They're going to choke off the rope a little bit because they don't need any extra there. Cassidy making his last throws. And then this is what he does. He applies the black tape. Holy cow.
And that's why we have pads at the bottom. We've got a couple different stacks of pads down there. Really making sure they're safe on that ball all the way down.
Then your friend makes sure you're all right, and then you still lay there for a while. Because after you do that, you're not all right. You're not all right.
That is the 90-foot speed climb brought to you by Fiskars.
90-foot
You can see him breathing with every step on the way up. You need to keep that pace all the way up, otherwise you're not going to make it there.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to run it again. Yep. Absolutely. Good run for Cassidy. Cassidy's a guy, in addition to the winners, the championships that are awarded for performance in each individual discipline, points are tallied based on overall performance. There's an all-around award for the men, all-around award for the women. And so there's a couple ways to get the all-around. You can
do okay at everything. You can win a couple of things, but Cassidy's got a very diverse portfolio here. Not very many guys go in the 90 because it's very difficult. The chance to place high there, good points.
Yes, absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see how Cassidy fares. Those points will be tabulated as we go. We will update it as we know.
We got Ellie Davenport, Lily Duffy. Ellie gets a fall right there.
This evening, so stick around.
And it looked like in the other match,
Claudia Duffy, 3 falls to 1 over Abby Heschler. Great win for Claudia there.
And of course, when you have a
Really been
teammate that's
matched up
6'6",
tough
he's got a sharp
in these
axe,
early matches
then
throughout
you
the
do a
season
little
this year. So great redemption for Claudia.
yeah,
Ellie with a nice little kick, put Lily right down.
going for a swim. The other part of this, yeah, this is a lumberjack bowl. It's beautiful and natural, and it appeared this way. The lily pads that you see are real. The turtles and the fish in here are real. And it's, to me, a kind of hazards of the course, so to speak. Like when you see the people running away from gators at those golf courses in the south.
Ellie is
Yes.
currently
So-
1 fall up over Lily.
Ellie up a fall on
We're gonna
Lily.
get them pushed right
2.
back out there.
1.
Up 2-1, so up a fall, 2-1. Going to 3, and then we're going to see, we saw Jack and Jill, we are now going to see Jill and Jill sawing on the chopping and sawing dock in the foreground in a minute.
Yes. And what's cool about these
We're out
Jack
there
and Jill
on that number 3
competitions and the
log.
Jill and Jill, you get a little bit of those log rollers coming over to the other side,
The other side.
as we quote. And I know Adam and Sam LaSalle, they kind of started that trend a little bit. I know myself and Ben Hansen, Jack and Jill, and then Sam and I, the 2 log rollers, we Jill and Jill when
Yeah.
we can. So
And kind of a mixed bag. You grew up log rolling. Some other people grew up chopping and sawing. I would say it's more common for log rollers and climbers to come over and pick up chopping and sawing. Generally speaking, choppers and sawyers get hassled that we should be rolling on logs.
yes,
But generally speaking, that does not end well.
it's always fun to try sometimes, right? You gotta dabble a little bit.
Yeah, and the mixed bag, all lumberjack athletes, but really different preparation and performance in terms of, I would say the other part is the water, frankly.
Yeah,
As,
you know.
as a
it's
spectacle wearer, I do not like to be in the water. But some people love it and have made the transition.
There's a fall.
Ouch.
The next one going to Ellie Davenport.
Yep. It's, Ellie did the same thing she did before. She gives it a little bit of a kick, catches Lily back on her heels.
Rolls under her heels, and then she
Yep.
can't.
Right there, sends that log. You can see every muscles, all those muscles in their calves working to try and keep them up there.
Of course, have spikes on their shoes. Some have just flat rubber-soled shoes.
This team right here in the middle on stand 4, back to back, 18 and 19, Jill and Jill champions, Kate Wachowski and Aaron Lavoie.
So it's automatic and everything
Defending
feels
champions.
the same. These gals are doing what they like to do.
You know.
Both off strong performances in
But also we have the souls
national contest last weekend. We've got on stand 1 Andrea Card and Denise Carlson Ott. Denise Ott.
And what our judges do
Andrea from California,
is
Denise
measure
here
over
from
the
Minnesota,
top
Kelly Kerrigan and Martha King. Martha King, national champion.
That means that each
Kelly
team get exactly
and Martha,
the
both
same
from the greater
distance down to the
Northeast
ball.
region.
It's not about having
Alex
one
Miller
team
and
go
Hannah
in
Quigley.
front.
Stop me if you've heard this
So the
one.
same for
Another
Van Dyke
upstate
Hughes,
New York,
great match down
Northeast
there.
hotbed of timber
That's right, we're
sports.
pushed
Nathan
out.
Waterfield, Zach Brous producing contests in the New York and Pennsylvania area, in addition to the tradition of the collegiate ranks there, Finger Lakes, Paul Smiths, and similar.
They're wearing the same shoes out there.
Yep.
basically.
As you said, we got Aaron Lavoie and Kate Wachowski. Aaron coming to us from out west in Washington. Kate Wachowski coming to us from just around the corner. Sarah Golnick and Laura Helmick, 2 people who came up through the collegiate ranks. And on the far stand, Nancy Zaleski and Lindsay Dawn.
Another strong team here.
Another strong team, both for Lindsay and Nancy, both competitive sawyers in the single buck discipline. So you put 2 big, strong sawyers on the same saw.
It's bound to go faster, right?
Bound to go faster, and 2 people who I would say really the zen of the saw.
Facebook page.
Looks like they got a JP saw tuned up, saw from JP
And ladies and
Mercier.
gentlemen, of course, as you understand, with
Paul was putting down fast cuts with those top-notch tools.
What does one of those saws go for these days?
Hand filed, made from bandsaw steel specifically for racing again, in the neighborhood of $2,000 to $3,000, and you get different lengths based on the discipline. You notice that these are a bit shorter than the saws that people are using for single buck sawing, and either have 2 or 3 cutters. 4 cutters faded a little bit in the pine sawing. These are 20-inch pieces of lathe turned white pine, and these are hand filed. So after every 6 cuts, 8 cuts, if you're upper echelon, 10 cuts maybe. By the time you start talking about 20 cuts, people may be doubting you a little bit. The other thing we noticed, may not have noticed, is that there is another person out on the log with him who's not pulling the saw, but is spraying oil to the saw. The space between the teeth called the gullet, that's where these little fettuccine noodles from the cut fall and get pinched up, and those are then freed up or allowed to fall more free when that lubrication is sprayed. They also put a wedge in so that the cookie doesn't act like a disc brake on the top of your saw as it goes back and forth. Got a couple people put the foot blocks out. Foot blocks are kind of like a track starter, give you the place to push your feet because the ground wants to push up and down, and when you're pushing in the sawing, you're pushing side to side. But most of the athletes choosing instead to go to the spiked shoes. Start out as soccer cleats, and then they have a little date with a grinder.
I'd say that's the biggest similarity between log rolling and chopping.
Yes.
Shoes.
Yeah,
Sawing. Sorry, not chopping, but sawing.
Sawing, yep. Absolutely. Sun getting a little bit low in the sky. We've only got a few more disciplines coming up. We are going to conclude with a bit of a smorgasbord, the relay, that is going to have a mixed bag of chopping and sawing run concurrently, as the name suggests, a relay. Should be a fast race. I can't bet against Kate and Aaron after Kate put down that ripper of a cut with Matt. I see this being a fast run.
Absolutely.
Here on stand 4.
And on station 4, Aaron Lavoie and Kate Witkowski, the current world champions in this event.
2-time champs, defending champs.
Judges and timers ready. Contestants ready. 3, 2, 1, go.
Same thing as before, sharing is caring.
Yep.
You can't be a toddler and do it all by yourself. Good run here, Lindsay and Nancy on 6.
Yep.
Aaron and Kate just edge them out.
Ooh, stand 2 down here, Martha and Kelly. Really standing in there with Aaron and
Yep.
Kate
I
there.
think they were off second. It looked
Yep.
like Kerrigan and King. Team Special K there.
That is Jill and Jill Double Buck, brought to you by the Sawyer County Record. The Sawyer County Record.
And that'll take us to our last solo discipline on the stage, the men's underhand chop. We are going to be
The record is Sawyer County's leading source for news.
We're going to be looking at the men's underhand chop. The logs have been placed on the stands in front of us. Head judge DJ Aderman going back through to check out that everybody's disc is complete and they have not gone over the line.
WI.com. Coming up next,
Then we're going to finish up with a relay. You're going to see some different folks when you tune in tomorrow, but you're going to see some new folks. Some people were cutting in the qualifying earlier today and they will advance to tomorrow. Some people you saw today will be racing tomorrow. That will not be final until the relay is done.
So actually what we're going to have before the boomerang, folks, is we're going to come back to the guys swinging the big axes on these 14.
Meredith, have you ever been on a relay team here?
Yes, I have. I've been on a few different relay teams. So how these relay teams work is that the women single buck Sawyer, the top 4 from LWC the previous year, they are the team captains. And how this works is the top 4 in each of these disciplines get randomly drawn onto one of these team captains' teams. And I think tonight we have Team King and Zaleski tonight. So we just saw Nancy and Martha out there. They'll be running the single buck saws for their team. will start with a 60-foot climb on the other side of the bowl. Once those climbers hit the pad, the women boom runners will make their way across. They'll take their teammate and send them back to the chopping dock. And once they get here, that starts the men's underhand chop. Once that is severed, they go into the team captain's single buck saw, 16-inch pine.
Yep.
And then we end with the men's standing block chop to finish it off. So little taste of all the disciplines all in one area.
And all feeding into each other. Have you been victorious?
Yes, we have several times.
And have you ever seen the disappointment of watching somebody fall off the boom in the first go? Have you ever been that person, Meredith?
I have not been that person, but I have seen it happen to other teams. I don't know if it's happened to my team. It may have, and we
blocked out those memories.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to.
So it's going to be a cool mixed bag here in the relay. Climb, ladies boom, men's underhand, ladies single, and men's standing to take it home. We do have the last solo discipline here, the underhand chop. If you imagine the standing block chop falls the tree, puts it on the ground. The underhand chop is how you cut it to a length that suits you. And these guys have got a 14-inch piece of lathe-turned Espn. On the far stand, number 1, Maddie Slingerland. Consistent performance last weekend in Arkansas. Been making a good run. Expectant father. And his own father was racing earlier, Mike Slingerland. Coming to us from the Northeast, Mr. Trevor Beaudry. Trevor, very active on social media, and guy who's been making the rounds. Came up through the collegiate ranks, I believe, in 14, and then just has been a fixture on the professional ranks since then, traveling around regionally and coming as far here to the Midwest. We do have number 96, Melvin Lentz. Mel Lentz. Yes, Jason Lentz's father comes from a long line of competitors and timber cutters originally in Oregon. And a guy, Melvin is past 60 and doesn't appear to slow down. I watched him rip off cuts where he dusted men half his age with gout so bad he could barely walk on the stage. And Melvin is a tough, hard-working, determined, just a force of nature in this discipline and in this sport. We got Chris Savage coming to us from New York, guy who works on the big rigging and doing construction, and a truly giant man. One of the few people I stand next to and feel small next to. We have arborist Ben Whalen and his mustache on stand 5. Ben has really been working in this summer. He's been traveling around, training with other professionals, and getting himself dialed in. Look for a good race out of that young man. And on stand 6, coming to us from northern Minnesota, just outside the boundary waters, Mr. Adam LaSalle. Adam LaSalle, father, contest promoter, and guy who he just bleeds Hayward. I would say this is Adam's natural habitat. So I expect to see a good run here. Maddie Sling and Melvin should put down a good race. Can't bet against Chris Savage. Chris Savage.
2, 1. Go.
Puts a lot of horsepower on it. They're in the block together. They got smooth flexi-soled shoes and some good pieces of wood.
Maddie Sling making nice work of the front side of this block. Stand 1.
Yep, he's putting the drives in and he's around. Looks like a good front. Beaudry
got Mel
turns with
turned
him.
around on stand 3. Oop, little slip there. Beaudry getting into the backside.
Got big chunks. Maddie Slingerland is clearing 2x4s or 2x6s out of that log. He's through on the top. He's through on the bottom. Maddie Sling, good race. Chris Savage had a tough piece of wood there, wrecked an axe. Trevor Beaudry off on 2. Adam LaSalle taking a little chip.
You got Ben Whalen and Mel Lentz here.
There's Mel Lentz on 3.
Melvin
pulls out that
That's what I'm
third.
saying, in his 60s.
Whalen just a couple of blows behind. How about a hand for all those guys?
Coming to us from Diana, West
Head left
Virginia.
to Chris Savage.
I feel like if Paul Bunyan
And that is the men's
had an
underhand
idol, it
chop
might be
brought to
Melvin
you by
Lentz.
Brent Carlson, MD.
It is just
MD.com. And now
one of those things, Meredith. I think the energy, you talk about the family part of it, some of these people, you can tell they were born to do this, they live to do this, and they just resonate into the universe, positive energy for the sport.
Yeah,
Melvin is intensity personified. It's really, it's cool.
I was thinking about it earlier with the Duffys. I didn't think there were too many families on the log rolling side, but now that I think about it, I'm completely wrong. There are just as many families who have been growing up in this sport for generations. Some of them on their third generation. So it's great to see that on both sides.
Yeah, it's fun, and that's kind of how you. That's one of the ways to get started. You're born into it, just like Hank said. But some people get into the game a little bit later, don't discover wood chopping until college. So we got the men's boom. I was a little bit of a liar.
Yep, we got Connor Birdsong on the right. We got Thomas Mangwasser on the left here.
Mangwasser. So same boom the ladies ran.
Yep.
It's just 3, 2, 1, go.
Correct. We're just waiting for the official whistle here from our head judge. He's still checking wood on the wood dock, so just a moment. Just a moment for those guys. There we go. Now we're getting ready. So.
And it's a start cadence that we're waiting for, and that triggers a laser to confirm the start.
1, go.
Yes.
Because you can't jump the gun. This is kind of like a drag race.
It's a full-on drag race. How fast can you go down and back?
And then when you go back, all the logs are spinning. Like nobody stops your logs from spinning.
Yep, you got to try and make it across the first time without moving too many. And you can kind of see Connor go down hard there with that one just spinning.
And then the way you get back on is by jumping back on.
Kind of like a rodeo, you know?
Yeah.
The Red Cedar Rodeo. There you go.
Yeah, you got to pull your head down tight and just do it there.
Really works the core. You can see how each step he was kind of crossing over there with the not stepping directly on top of that log sometimes gets you.
And when we get closer to the finals, we'll see the crisper runs. The logs barely move.
Float across them. These guys it's incredible to watch. Boom running is one of my favorite to participate in, and then to watch these men compete is something special. So it's pretty cool.
So we got some repeat offenders on the left. Boom with the blonde hair is Tanner Hallett.
And brother Torin Hallett on the right.
Brothers, little Cain and Abel here in the men's boom run.
2,
yes.
1, go.
And they're off, brothers Torin and Tanner Hallett.
Both got a clean run going so far. Always good when you can make it across dry on the first run and then working your way back.
Salvaging, look
Tanner looking good on these last 3 logs.
His
pulling it together. Beats the older brother.
Tanner made a really subtle adjustment between the second and third log on his return.
All right,
shifted where he stepped on the log, like you said, stacked his feet, and got his butt over his feet again.
Yep, typically if I feel that log starting to turn, I'll step with that front foot, and then you can see Tanner do it too. That back foot is almost parallel so that they can keep control of it without having to move it.
And grabbing the log like when you're rolling, it's not as focused on propelling yourself forward.
Correct.
We got Caleb Graves, and then it looks like we got
Shane Burns.
Shane Burns on the right.
Caleb, another phenomenal competitor, back after the 60, 90, and a couple other events. So
yeah, his dance card has been full.
Flies across these logs. You can just see him float. They aren't moving directly on top of him.
Yep.
Core, you can see his arms are nice and steady.
Yeah, not flailing.
Not phased at all.
Record
Shane with the
12.266 held by Will Heschler. Good run by both of those gentlemen. And I was talking a little bit. On Caleb's run, in the middle of the logs barely move.
Yep, right on top. Those aren't going to move. You know, keep that centered.
A 4-time world champion in this event.
And we were just talking about Will and his world record. Here he is coming up on the right boom, and Charlie Fenton, we're the reigning champion from 2019 on the left boom. So we have a little bit of a battle to see who will come out with the 5th title this year, probably. We'll see.
Who's got the chance at the 5, yeah.
Yep.
With Charlie.
This is a great matchup to see preview into the Saturday night.
Because they could be, it's not elimination against each other, it's just the time, so they could race each other again.
Correct.
They're
so,
racing the course here.
Yep, absolutely.
Go.
So look at these guys. You can just see Charlie doesn't even move these logs. Will a little bit more powerful on the way down. Charlie just steady. Both of them are on the barrel at the same time, headed back. You can see there's a transition, about 4 logs left. They start to swing and drive a little bit harder.
Wow. That was awesome. That was a dead heat.
That is what you want to see in the boom run. That is phenomenal boom running. So that wasn't even our fastest heat of the night. Typically, we see these heats get faster and faster throughout the weekend. So 14.94 for Charlie, unofficial, 15.11 for Will. Got Anthony on the left here coming up, and then Cameron Pilgreen in the shorts, the American
flag trunks.
Yep.
And the flag socks.
Yep. Anthony won this event in 2019 and is also the men's log rolling world champion from 2019. So great athlete here, young, lots of years left in this sport.
Oh Lord!
See him take a spill right back up, still tied with Cameron right here. Look at him stay on that. That's incredible. Wow. And he still gets across that line before his opponent.
Wow.
Really digging deep there. This is why I love this event. You know, he takes a spill. It's clean.
Wow, that's exciting racing.
He was running sideways through the air onto the deck.
This is, you know, making sure those logs are steady before you leave them is imperative.
Oh my goodness.
And Cameron with a close call over there on that dock. You can't use your hands. You can't use your hands to get on the dock. So if you fall that close, you have to get up on the log, step up. But you can't use your hands to assist you in this event. So now we're headed to the relay.
That was awesome.
Finishing off the night strong with these competitive events.
So he stopped.
Little debrief on the stage here. You saw in the last heat of the underhand, these logs have been selected and prepared for this event to give the best possible racing solutions.
Correct.
But Chris Savage felt like there was because he had a borrowed axe, which is not uncommon, there was a little bit of a surprise hidden for him. He didn't want to risk damaging a piece of equipment that wasn't his own. So Savvy doing right by his friend, and we're getting ready for the relay.
We can see these competitors setting up on the dock. You can see all of the sawing and chopping disciplines right here. Nancy, team captain on the single buck. Adam LaSalle, stand 3, getting that underhand prepared. And then we got Matt Koger as their standing block anchor.
Yeah.
Pan over to Martha. They got Jason Lenz, Calvin Willard. Very strong team on both sides for these relays. We got our boom runners coming across. We got Abby on the right, Gretchen on the left.
To me, that's awfully brave that they started the event by getting into position by doing the event that they are going to have to do.
That is more anxiety than actually participating in the event, because if you fall in just hanging out, people question, should you be out there?
check this guy's credentials.
So.
On this side,
yep. So we got our tree climbers over there. We got Andrew Jensen on Team King.
From
and
Tennessee.
Darby or we had a substitution. We have Darby Hand instead of Cassidy Shear. So
Darby used to have a fantastic mullet. I'm sorry that he chose to deprive the universe of that exceptional flow.
And then it finishes up with
we are going to see this run consecutively in order, and so don't worry about the time for now. First team off wins today, and then
nope, it's a fastest time. So overall,
best time overall.
So if these two teams have the fastest, so we got Andrew here for Team King.
Running the boom for the women, Gretchen Green.
Team King, Gretchen Green.
Men's boom runner, Anthony Polentini.
We just saw Anthony Polentini running that men's boom heat. Jason Lenz here on the underhand.
From West Virginia.
Martha King. And
team captain.
Block, Calvin Willard.
Right there.
And for Team Zaleski, for the 60.
Got Darby Hand on the right pole here for
Kelvin
Team
Willard
Zaleski.
taught me an important trick. He runs syrup, runs maple syrup. Maple syrup in your coffee. Do yourself a favor in the morning.
Get you some of that.
That's the jam.
Yep.
Adam LaSalle.
Got Adam LaSalle here on Zaleski's underhand.
Yep, getting his tools ready. Nancy Zaleski on the single saw, Matt Koger on the standing. Did have the substitution of Darby Hand, and who do we have on their boom?
Boom, we have Cameron Pilgreen again. These two men just ran. So they don't get a break tonight. They're going right into the next event. As a lot of some of these competitors do. So I think this is gonna be really close. Looking at the big heavy hitters in both of these teams, it's gonna be a dogfight.
It's a 16-inch single, a 12-inch standing, and 12-inch underhand, 60-foot climb, and then it's one boom.
Yep, so the women, so it'll go 60-foot climb. Once your teammate hits the pad, the women run one leg. They tag their male teammate for the boom run, and they run back. Once they get to where the women started, the underhand will then start, and then from there it'll go underhand, single buck, standing block chop to finish it off.
And it'll be integral to those transitions. It's good to go fast,
but you can't
also
go too fast.
You can't jump the start.
Correct.
If you go before your teammate is tagged, as a relayed,
technically done, you'll be disqualified for going out of order.
You will be sent
packing
to the gulag. And I don't know where that is, but you will be excused. You will not win. Cheating, no cheating. And that's really the only way you can cheat here. You see contestants have slab nails in on their chopping blocks and an allocation of wood in the single buck sawing. But that's it. Don't jump the start. Don't jump the transition. And go like crazy.
Yes.
Once again,
this is a great way to tie in all of the events. Typically, boom runners and log rollers don't really get a lot of time to spend with the choppers and sawyers, so I always really liked this event growing up and being a part of it. I think that was a great way to get introduced to these athletes that you've seen compete for so many years on the other side.
The other side. And it's weird to say the other side because what is it?
It looks like a big bowl.
Yeah.
But
DJ,
there's kind of an invisible wall.
Yep.
So we're going to be getting the relay underway.
What do you think? A minute 40? Minute and a half?
I've never put a watch to this.
I think we're going to see some times around there.
The best part of this, and we'll see the standing in just a second.
Go.
Usually pretty even in the climb.
Yep.
Little slip. Darby. Oh, everybody slipped.
There we go. All tied up.
Andrew Jensen. Even.
Andrew's got that height to push him up that.
Andrew.
Both tagging at the same. Like a little free fall there.
Cow.
There we go. Now we got Gretchen Green going for Team King. Darby hits the pad. Abby's off.
Gretchen Green with a
clean run, tags Anthony. Abby almost there, about to take Cameron.
Anthony Politini is swimming.
See if Cameron can hang on and put Team Zaleski in the lead. Here we go. Adam LaSalle on stand 3 with the underhand for Team Zaleski.
Adam LaSalle is bludgeoning that block. He's deep into the foot underhand.
But we can't hold Jason Lentz out of this. He is a great underhand chopper.
Jason
turned.
Jason Lentz.
4 hits in the back.
Jason Lentz is a little bit of a honey badger there.
There we go.
He don't care.
Over
He's driving it. He had a little bit of a cheap front, so he is still driving it.
There we go. Jason.
Martha King away on the single. Nancy Zaleski. She can make it up. Martha halfway. Nancy's stroke behind. Nancy's deep into it. Martha's off. Calvin Willard. 1, 2, 3.
Nancy off. Matt Koger laying into that standing block. Let's see if Matt can catch him.
Matt's going to put 2 more down and then drive it. They're going to turn together. Matt 1, 2 hits ahead of him. Matt doesn't put a cheap front in. Koger going for 1 more up. Then he's going for the drives. Matthew Koger's got him. Kelvin Willard just barely had that block hang on. Holy cow, what a finish.
I would say the relay is a great way to end the night, tying everything in, getting the crowd excited. So it's been a great night here at the Lumberjack Bowl.
What a way to end the evening. Fastest 2 times will race again
On Saturday night for the
in the big show when we got 1 round through everything.
wow.
So some great work. Meredith, that takes us through the second half of today's qualifying rounds. Night 1 in the books. What do you think about the second half?
I thought there was some pretty good heavy log rolling competitions out there. Really great matches from some of those women. We're starting to see these finals starting to play out. Right now it's anyone's game in the women's finals for log rolling.
Some Tyson and Holyfield rounds there, some heavyweight fighting there. Great finish on the relay. I'm going to say personal amazement, men's boom. It was amazing. We are going to that'll bring us to the end of the first night of the 61st annual. We're going to take a look at the highlights of the second half of today's race. Some log rolling, Gretchen Green getting the fall and everybody having a seat.
Yep.
Fast
Matt
cut
and Kate
by
here
Matt
on
and
stand
Kate.
6. Yeah, great. Jack and Jilling right there.
I don't know if it's a chance for a record, but it should be a running race tomorrow. Brenda Boyko and Derek Pouchnick, a husband-wife team. Savvy and Alex. Cassidy Shear in his tights making the run. Up, and look at that's a face of determination. Another person who was literally grown up here in the Lumberjack Bowl and in this sport.
Yep, that Shear family, Heschlers, they have started a lot of new and upcoming stuff.
Yeah, some great, interesting there. You see the rope chatter. Cassidy really putting the brakes on.
Got Ellie and Ellie Davenport, Lily Duffy here. Nice log rolling.
I just say to you, good day. And that ferocious flip. Little Jill and Jill action here.
Kate and Aaron.
Kate and Aaron with a good cut. Kelly and Martha.
On stand 2.
And so fast with a turnover.
Nice. Then we got Trevor Beaudry on stand 2.
And
Matt Sling on 1.
Crushing the 14-inch underhand. Gotta be pleased. The men's boom. This fearless, when you talk about fearless, this is it. This is the wipeouts, the energy, the effort. These guys train like crazy and then light the fuse. Charlie Fenton and Will Heschler there. Turning together.
Great boom running tonight by these men. It's something to see. We just said 4. We got 5 guys that all have a chance, but there's only 4 spots.
Yep, there's only 4 people, so somebody...
Fastest times from today and tomorrow for these men will move on to Saturday's show. They will each get a chance on each boom on Saturday night.
So now we're seeing the kickoff on the relay?
Yep, going back to the relay.
And there was some good back and forth there.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
a little cross up on the climb, the fall. Jason Lentz, you said he turned on 4?
Look, something crazy like that.
It was nuts.
Maybe 6, maybe.
Martha King, and then Calvin and Matt both just going for the drives, and Matt sliced it off. So that'll take us to the end of the first night of the 61st Annual Lumberjack World Championships here from Hayward, Wisconsin. Thank you for joining us this evening. Tomorrow we'll be back with the semifinal round starting just before 6 and running through 24 more chopping and sawing disciplines. Thank you and have a beautiful evening.